Please note this video contains spoilers for Avengers 4 and of course Infinity War, so don't swear at me in the comments if you watch this video and something is spoiled for you. Let's talk about those leaked set photos for Avengers 4 because they reveal some very important things. Firstly, the big one, that Avengers 4 is going to incorporate time travel. The Russo brothers have tried to say that all these scenes are just a simulation from B.A.R.F.
Binarily augmented retroframing.
But all I can say to that is,
theatricality and deception are powerful agents to the uninitiated. But we are initiated, aren't we, Russo brothers?
So I think it's definitely going to be time travel. Here we see Tony, Ant-Man, and Captain America are going to jump back to the events of 2012's Battle of New York in Avengers 1. This scene sees them all talking to each other, and Hulk is also present, and it could be that he travels back in time with the others. The most likely gateway that they're going to use to travel through time is the quantum realm. I'm going to explain the quantum realm or microverse a little bit later in the video. In these set photos, it's important to note that Tony has grey hair and has clearly aged, which indicates that it's unlikely that Tony, Ant-Man, and Cap will travel back in time shortly after the events of Infinity War. Many years are going to have passed, and I would say probably at least 10, which means they're going to be living with the consequences of Thanos' actions for a very long time. As in Infinity War, Tony didn't have even one grey hair. Cap, of course, ages very slowly because of the super soldier serum. Cap is seen seemingly talking to Hulk, which may indicate that Hulk has become even more intelligent than he was in Thor Ragnarok. But it's very significant that Tony has grey hair. It's significant because it means that Tony would have lived for several years after Thanos destroyed half the universe, and has probably been working hard to find a way to reverse everything. Gwyneth Paltrow in an interview let slip that her and Tony are going to have a baby in Avengers 4, and that means that Tony would have been a dad for many years after what happened with Thanos, before he sets out on this quest with the other Avengers to fix the past. Ant-Man, Tony, and Cap are all seen wearing these watch-like devices, and they probably need them to be tethered so that they don't get lost in time and space, so that they can, after they have completed what they need to, travel back to their time. The events of Ant-Man and the Wasp, as well as Captain Marvel, will take place before the events of Infinity War. However, I think the end of Ant-Man is going to coincide possibly with the events of Infinity War, and with possibly the Wasp ceasing to exist in the snap. That could lead Ant-Man to go and get Tony and Cap, and then for them all to travel back in time to try and change time. Now, the most interesting thing about these leaked set photos is that we see Loki and Thor from Avengers 1. Thor has his old Point Break hairstyle, and Loki has his mouth shut with this device, as he did in the scene at the end of the Avengers before they used the Tesseract to travel back to Asgard. So it seems that Tony is going to try and capture Loki from the custody of the 2012 Avengers and from S.H.I.E.L.D. He will probably infiltrate the squad by disguising himself as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, as we see he's wearing a S.H.I.E.L.D. outfit. It's also rumored that we're going to see some other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents return, namely Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones, and Jasper Sitwell. But the big question is, why would Tony, Cap, and Ant-Man want to capture Loki? And I think it's likely they're going to try and gain information so that they can take the fight to Thanos before he gains all the Infinity Stones and, of course, is able to have the Infinity Gauntlet forged. Loki may be able to give them vital information as to the whereabouts of Thanos, and of course, how he got to meet Thanos in the first place between the events of Thor and Avengers.
Question him. He who put the scepter in your hand, who gave you ancient knowledge and new purpose when you were cast out.
And how did Loki get Thanos to trust him enough to actually give him one of the Infinity Stones, the Mind Stone, in the form of the scepter? And then the other big question that I think will be revealed is, how did Thanos come upon the idea of the Infinity Gauntlet in the first place? And how did he get that knowledge that it could destroy half the universe? It's going to be very interesting to find out. After all, he does say to Tony that Tony isn't the only one who is cursed with knowledge. If Tony succeeds in changing time, of course, from that point, everything in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to change. Remember, Tony would have been living with Pepper and his child for many years, and by him going back in time to change the timeline, he also may end up changing his own timeline and may end up writing his own child out of history. As we know, whenever you mess with the timeline, there are consequences. Flash fans know what I'm talking about, right? The Microverse or the Quantum Realm was introduced in Ant-Man and will play a big part in the story of both Ant-Man and the Wasp, as well as Captain Marvel. Hank Pym has devoted himself to entering the quantum realm because he wants to try and rescue his wife Janet Van Dyne. Janet, of course, as it was explained in Ant-Man, shrunk down too far when she was trying to disarm a Soviet missile. The trailers have already shown some sort of a craft which will allow them to travel in the quantum realm. And we know from other leaked set photos that they're going to succeed in rescuing Janet Van Dyne from the quantum realm. The actress who plays the Wasp, Evangeline Lilly, also believes that the quantum realm is going to be very important to the MCU moving forward. She of course made a name for herself on the hit series Lost. She had this to say in a Q&A. "We're hitting that Lost season 4 space where everything is about to shift and you're about to lose the solid ground underneath you." She's talking about the quantum realm. The Ant-Man and the Wasp of course will play a part in that. If we do succeed in Ant-Man and the Wasp, then that does open a whole entire new multiverse to enter into and to play in. So the quantum realm is one of many universes within the multiverse, and it was also shown in Doctor Strange. When the Ancient One took Doctor Strange through many of the universes within the multiverse, one of the ones that he traveled through was one that looked very similar to the quantum realm which was shown in Ant-Man. One of Marvel's consultants, quantum physicist Dr. Spiros Mikalakis, said that the quantum realm will give a better understanding of Carol Danvers and her place in the MCU. That Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, will in fact be in the quantum realm. This is exciting for the future, he says. There are many different ways that some of these ideas appear on screen in the next few years, not just for Ant-Man but also for Captain Marvel and all of the cinematic universe. In the comics, the quantum realm is referred to as the Microverse. The Microverse is one of the universes within the multiverse. The Microverse is held together by the ENIGMA force. The ENIGMA force is an energy which goes throughout the entire Microverse. No one quite understands this force, only that it works through the time travelers. The time travelers obviously can move back and forward within time, and they see all possible futures. When they detect a threat to the Microverse, they will sometimes intervene and counter that threat. Could it be that when Thanos snapped his fingers, he also destroyed half of life of the Microverse or the quantum realm? The Microverse is of course also home to the Micronauts. And the reason why the movies refer to it as the quantum realm and not the Microverse is because Marvel Studios doesn't have the rights to use the word Microverse. The history of the Micronauts is quite interesting. It first began as a toy line and was manufactured by MEGO from 1976 to 1980. During this period in 1979, it became a comic book published by Marvel Comics. Eventually the rights to these toys were bought by Hasbro, and in 2015 Hasbro, with Hasbro Studios, announced that it would, in conjunction with Paramount Studios, would be developing a Micronauts movie. And so that's why we're not going to see the Micronauts in the MCU, and that's why we're not going to be hearing them talking about the Microverse, at least for the foreseeable future. So what do you think about Tony, Cap, and Iron Man wanting Loki? And will Loki believe them and actually help them, or will he end up double-crossing them and serving his own agenda as he often does? And what will the consequences be in terms of the Avengers changing the timeline? Let's discuss in the comments below. Please like this video if you did, and subscribe to the channel and enable notifications to make sure that you don't miss out on any crafty media content. Thanks a lot for watching. Cheers for now.